Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope and the weekly wildcard draft for game week 28. And this is honestly quite a difficult game week for a wildcard. I don't really think you should wildcard unless your team is like really badly affected by what happened this past week and a half in the cups and stuff. Like for example, if you don't have, or if you have Mateta, Cunha, Mitoma, Gordon, like all these players, Hall, all these players that have been suspended lately, then maybe you want a wildcard. But if not, I think it's better to save it because it is quite difficult to predict who's going to double and who's going to blank in the future game weeks. We're going to know a lot more about that before the game week 30 deadline. So I think it's better to wait with your wildcard until game week 30 rather than doing it now. But if you're doing it now, this is going to be the best solution for you, in my opinion at least. So I'm going to try to go through all the players and show you why I selected them basically, which is what I do usually in this video series, where I try to select what I think is the best squad to have in Fantasy Premier League going forward in the next few game weeks. So I'm going to do that, as always, in the style of an NBA or NFL type draft, where the number one pick, the number one player that I'm going to present to you guys today, is the player that I think is the most important to have in FPL currently. And the 15th player in my squad and the 15th pick of the squad is going to be the player that is the least important to the squad currently. But yeah, let's go into it, as always, with the number one pick, which is going to be Mohamed Salah. As always, he is, he's amazing. And yes, he has like a very low likelihood of doubling or not at all, I think, potentially as well. But for the immediate term, with the fixtures in game week 28, 30, 31, I think he's going to be the best captaincy choice, as he has been for most of the season. So there is like more of a case to be made to sell him because he's so much money. But I still think, like, even if you're not going to captain him, I still think he's a pretty good player to have. And I think he's, especially game week 28, is going to be the best captaincy option, and probably game week 30 as well. He's going to be the best captaincy option. But Haaland is making a case for game week 30 against Leicester, for example. So maybe you want to move to Haaland instead, especially if you're not on a wildcard. Maybe you want to look into selling Salah in game week 29 when he blanks and getting Haaland. And that's the way to get Haaland for the ending run of the season. But I think there is a way to get him both into the squad, which I might show you in this very video. So let's go through to the next pick, which is going to be Alexander Isak. He is the number 2 pick this time around. Just the fixtures before and after game week 29 is fantastic. We also know for sure that he's going to double in game week 32 with Newcastle, so that's why he's like a super important player to have. And the other like best Newcastle assets, Gordon, who's now suspended for the next few games, and Lewis Hall, who's now injured, who's going to miss the cup final in game week 29 and the League Cup final. Both those guys are not as secure anymore. The goalkeeper situation, we don't really know whether it's Pope or Dubravka for the end of the season. So I think Isak is like by far the best Newcastle option. He would have been either way, but especially with all those uncertainties with the other players, he's the main guy to have for Newcastle, and really the only guy you really need for Newcastle currently. But from game 30 onwards, that's going to change. They're going to have really good fixtures. They're going to have a double in 32 confirmed. So you're probably going to want to focus your transfers on Newcastle players between game week 30 and game week 32 when they are doubling and have really nice fixtures in Brentford at home and Leicester away. But Isak, fantastic value, as we know, going to be good value for quite a while still as well in FPL, and the double is so enticing because you are going to want to captain him in game week 32 most likely when he has a nice double game week there. So yeah, Isak in at number 2, pretty easy choice again. Let's move on to number 3, which is going to be Marmoush from City. I did mention Haaland previously, but Marmoush is like just better value, and especially for me, who is looking to keep Salah until game week 34 at least, probably for the end of the season. I think Marmoush is just like a safer pick than Haaland, like if you want to measure them up against each other, because I'm going to captain Salah in most game weeks where he has the same amount of matches, or like in the game weeks where he has the same amount of matches as the best potential other captain in FPL. I'm going to choose Salah most likely. So yeah, Marmoush just a bit cheaper than Haaland, and he's still providing pretty similar value. Like he's been really good, especially with the hat-trick, of course, but that's the only game week where he has actually scored some points. But he has showed promise. He takes free kicks. We know his stats from the Bundesliga. He's still looking like a really good player in Premier League as well. He's on corners. He's on set pieces, direct free kicks. He just has a lot of things going for him, including the price tag, which is the main thing, like sort of separating him from Haaland when it comes to the value of those two players. But yeah, from game week 29 onwards, City have really good fixtures. The other thing with City is the fact that they are looking pretty likely to double regardless in game week 33, or potentially at least. And also in game week 36, they might also double, so they could double which is what we're looking for, teams that have 2 double game weeks. And the reason why they are likely to double in Game Week 36 as well is the fact that they are facing Bournemouth in Game Week 37, and Bournemouth is also the team that they drew in the FA Cup. So whether City go through or Bournemouth go through, they are just 1 game away from having a potential double in Game Week 36, if that is how FPL decides to do it. If they are actually making a double Game Week 36, City is like probably the best chance of getting there, because they could either get there themselves by going through, or if Bournemouth go through to the final of the FA Cup, City will still double in 36. So very good likelihood of them doubling in 33, because they are facing Aston Villa in Game Week 34, which is going to be the game that's going to be moved to Game Week 33. If Aston Villa just beat Preston, that's all they need to do. Man City don't even have to go through for City to get a double game week in 33. So I think City are just the best like potential double game week team to have. So I think loading up on City players is the right thing to do currently, because they are the most secure to get at least 1 double and potentially 2 this season. And for me, Marmoush is the best value asset at Man City, just because of the price and all the stuff that I just mentioned previously. So yeah, Marmoush comes in at number 3 for that reason. And I think City, like I mentioned, is really the team to target currently. Number 4, we have Jared Bowen, another team that has good chances of doubling, whether that is in Game Week 33 or in Game Week 37. Can't remember exactly which teams they're facing again in those game weeks, but Brighton is the thing in Game Week 33, where they might double in Game Week 33 if Brighton go through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. And I think if not, because Brighton are facing Nottingham Forest in the Cup, I think Nottingham Forest is the team West Ham are facing in Game Week 37, so that could move to Game Week 36 if Nottingham Forest go through and knock out Brighton. So West Ham have a good chance of doubling in either Game Week 33 or in Game Week 36, but most likely not doubling in both. But Bowen as well, really fine form. Scored a goal last time around, but it was an own goal technically, but he is showing goal scoring prowess. He's in a really good form. West Ham are looking really good, and like I mentioned with West Ham as well, they have decent chances of doubling in one of those game weeks that we're looking for, Game Week 33 or Game Week 36. So I think Bowen is like a really easy pick as well currently, because he is in great form. He has decent fixtures at least, and West Ham are resurgent now under the leadership of Graham Potter. So yeah, Bowen I think is a really good pick. He comes in at number 4 for that reason. Number 5, we have Daniel Muñoz, a third member of the blank Game Week 29 crew with Salah and Isak, but you can just bench them for that game week and save them for later game weeks. We know with Crystal Palace, they have really good fixtures in terms of Ipswich now in Game Week 28. They have Southampton away in Game Week 30 and Brighton at home in Game Week 31. They do blank in 29, but you can just bench them there. And they are also still in the FA Cup, so they could also potentially double in both Game Week 33 and Game Week 36 as well. So Palace just really have it all, basically, and Muñoz has been terrific form, both attacking returns and clean sheets. He's been giving you a plenty recently in recent game weeks. He is a threat to get both at the same time as well and get those juicy 15 pointers that you want from a defender. So Muñoz, I think, is the best value player from Crystal Palace currently, especially with Mateta out injured and Eze and Sarr just being like meh, both of them. Like I can't really commit to either of them. So I think Muñoz is the best option currently from Crystal Palace, and that's why he's the third player that we have that blanks in Game Week 29. But we also know that Muñoz is going to double in Game Week 32 already. That's confirmed. So we at least have that to look forward to. And all the way up until Game Week 32, they're going to have really good fixtures as well. So Muñoz, for the immediate term, is going to be a really good pick as well. So he comes in at number 5. Number 6, we have Justin Kluivert. And once again, we have the chance of getting double game weeks, because Bournemouth are still in the FA Cup. They are facing Man City at home in the next round in the quarterfinals. But honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised to see them go through, because they have been just a better team than Man City this season, and they are playing at home as well. So I would not be surprised if Bournemouth go through and they double consequently in either Game Week 33 or in Game Week 37. They sort of have the same thing as City, basically, that if they go through, they are going to double, and if they don't go through, City are likely to make them double in Game Week 37 potentially as well. So yeah, Bournemouth are also a really decent team to target still, even though the fixtures are getting worse and worse now, or like the really good fixture run is going to get past them soon, but they still have really good fixtures, as you can see. Spurs away now, which is a decent fixture, Brentford at home, Ipswich at home, and West Ham away. The more concerning thing for me with the Bournemouth players is the fact that like I don't really know if they have like the best options. Defensively, they have conceded a lot of goals lately, so I don't really know about their defensive assets anymore. And offensively, we don't really know if Evan Nilsson is going to start, if Dango is going to start, if Kluivert is going to get minutes. Semenyo, I'm not sold on Semenyo currently. Like I don't think he's been that good lately, so I'm not really sold on him. So I think Kluivert is the best case scenario for Bournemouth as well. Like he's on penalties, as we all know. He scored a hat-trick of penalties earlier in the season. And he's looking like a really good player in general, scored a really nice goal this past game week. He's in really good form in general, and I think he's going to play his usual like 70, 75 minutes as he usually does. I think he's going to be a pretty certain starter as he has been all season. I don't really buy the minutes risk with him. I think he's a pretty certain starter and a penalty taker, and all that stuff makes him a really good asset on top of Bournemouth still being in the cup and potentially doubling in both Game Week 33 and Game Week 37, or Game Week 36, I should say. As well. So yeah, Kluivert comes in at number 6 for that reason. And number 7, we finally have him. Erling Haaland is in the squad, and that's mainly down to him being the best captaincy option in Game Week 29. And also, like I said, Man City could be the team to target when it comes to double in Game Week 33 and double in Game Week 37 potentially. They could do both. If Aston Villa go through, if the cup final is between Aston Villa and Bournemouth this season, it's going to be a double for Man City both in Game Week 33 and in Game Week 36 without them actually going through in the cup as well. But if they go through in the cup, they could also double in both game weeks if they go through themselves. So yeah, they just have a really good chance of doubling at some point this season, and that means Haaland in a double game week when not that many other teams are doubling is going to be the best captaincy option most likely. And he's just like a really good captaincy option in general going forward. So yeah, he comes in at number 7 for that reason. Don't really need to talk too much about Haaland. We know how good he can be in FPL. But the reason that I have him lower than Marmoush, like I mentioned in the Marmoush segment previously, is the fact that he is twice the price basically. So I'm not sure if that's completely worth it, but with the doubles in mind, he is most likely going to be the better and more safe captaincy option than Marmoush. So yeah, leaning more towards having Haaland than not having Haaland currently in FPL. So that's also going to come into my thoughts as I'm looking to navigate Game Week 29 with free transfers. And I'm most likely myself probably wildcarding in Game Week 30 as well, and looking to bring in Haaland potentially, but I'm not completely certain yet. It depends who doubles and who doesn't double, but at least with Haaland, we have a pretty like safe suggestion for you guys who's going to be really good in some game weeks in particular, and especially if you want to captain him in the game week against Leicester when Salah plays against Everton at home, you could be tempted by Haaland instead. But yeah, there is a case to be made for Haaland versus Foden as well, because Foden has actually outscored Haaland since Game Week 16, which is when Foden came back, which is also interesting. But also we don't really know how the return of Marmoush, the return of potentially Oscar Bob as well from injury, how that might affect Foden and for that matter Marmoush. So Haaland is just a safer pick. Like we know he's going to play, we know he's going to score, we know he's going to be on penalties. He's just a safe pick for a team that is looking like the best team to target currently in FPL. So yeah, Haaland comes in at number 7. Number 8, we have another Man City player tripled up. Like I mentioned, City is the best team to target currently, and Gvardiol is the best defender to target from that team. Rico Lewis actually went down to 4.3 now in price, so he's a really cheap, nice option if he continues to play, but he has been dropped at points this season, and Gvardiol is one that you could just 100% with certainty know he's going to start pretty much every single game for Man City. We also know he has the best attacking threat for Man City. He scored a lot of goals this season, and there's no reason he can't do that later on in the season as well. We also saw in the game against Chelsea especially, where he was like the most attacking player for Man City almost. So he has that in him where he can play super far up in the pitch and be a really nice goal scoring threat on top of being a player that has really good fixtures, potential for doubles, and potential for clean sheets. So Gvardiol is just a really solid defender all around. So he comes in at number 8 for that reason. And I think it's like the safest third option for Man City. Whether you want to go Haaland or Foden with the second option, or even either Marmoush or Foden with the second option potentially as well. I think Gvardiol is like a nice, safe player to have in defense for Man City because he is the best defender to have from that team as well. So yeah, he comes in at number 8. Number 9, we have Ryan Ait-Nouri, and the doubles are not really a thing for Ait-Nouri, but the fixtures are just really, really good. He's also really attacking. He's also really cheap. So I think Ait-Nouri, all in all, is a really good player to have, especially for Game Week 29, when we're looking to field the team without using a free hit for this wildcard draft. So yeah, that's basically like the main thing for Ait-Nouri. He has been a bit inconsistent this season. He started off pretty well after the fixtures turned well for Wolverhampton earlier in the season. Then a lot of people bought him, including myself, and then he started struggling really badly. Then a lot of people sold him, and then he started doing pretty well for a little while. So he has been a bit of an FPL troll this season, but I don't really think that should affect you. I think it's mostly just happenstance, basically. I don't really believe in like FPL trolls that much. That's more just like a personal thing, like how I like to play the game. Like I don't really feel like going with players that have burnt me in the past. But Ait-Nouri, don't really have the same thing with him because I have pretty good feelings from him from last season when he was really good for me. I brought him in, he scored some goals, got some 12-pointers. That was really nice for me last season. It helped me get into the top 10k last season. So I have some affinity for Ait-Nouri as well. And we know how good he can be at his best. So yeah, he comes in at number 9. Number 10, we have Dean Henderson from Crystal Palace. Like I mentioned with Muñoz as well. We know they are doubling in Game Week 32. They are still in the FA Cup. They could double in future Game Weeks as well, whether that's Game Week 33 and Game Week 36, or if it's just Game Week 33. So we have some really nice doubling opportunities here for Henderson. He doesn't play in Game Week 29, but we can just play our backup goalkeeper that game week and have a potential doubler in potentially 3 game weeks for Crystal Palace. Like that's the maximum thing. If Palace go through to the FA Cup final, you could potentially have 3 double game weeks with them. So that's why I sort of prefer Henderson. Also, his price is really nice. Also, there's not really that many good goalkeepers to choose from. I did think about potentially Verbruggen from Brighton, but I'm not completely sure if Brighton are going to go through in the cup. That's why this team is pretty much like not that Brighton heavy, because they are facing Nottingham Forest in the cup, the same team that spanked them 7-0 the last time they faced each other. So I think there's like a higher likelihood than most people think of Nottingham Forest going through and not Brighton, but we'll see what happens in that game. But whether that happens or not, that's kind of beside the point when it comes to Henderson, because yeah, I just mentioned him as the Verbruggen alternative. But Palace, yeah, they have really good fixtures. They have a double confirmed. They could get future doubles in the future. And Henderson is cheap. We know how good Palace could be defensively and how good they are with clean sheets and stuff. So he comes in at number 10 for that reason. Number 11, we have Pedro Neto, and he's again like more of like a short-term pick because of the good fixtures that he has. Leicester at home this game week. He's been playing as sort of like the de facto number 9 for Chelsea. That worked out really nicely against Southampton. He was really involved, scored a goal, got an assist, got a lot of points in that game. I think the same could happen against Leicester. And as you probably like realized at this point, Cole Palmer is not part of the team anymore because he has just been blanking lately, and the last blank against Southampton sort of just pushed it over the top, especially also with the fixtures going forward are not that good or not as good for Chelsea. But Neto is cheaper, so he's more like easy to have in the squad, and we know he's going to be the striker option, or most likely going to be the striker option against Leicester as well, which is a really nice game for him to get a lot of points. So I like him in the short term. Leicester in Game Week 28, he plays in Game Week 29 at least, even though it is against Arsenal. And then Spurs at home is also a really nice fixture as well. Like they have pretty good fixtures all the way up until Game Week 34 Chelsea. And that's also around the time when Nicholas Jackson's going to come back, I think. Or within that time frame, he's going to come back at some point and sort of knock down the value of Neto when he's not going to be the striker anymore. So Neto, kind of a short-term pick. That's why he's like lower down in the ratings here. He's number 11 pick for that reason. But in the short term, he's going to be a really nice pick to have, who I would stick with as like a Chelsea cover, because Chelsea have just like they show that they can score a lot of goals against the easier teams to play against. And Neto is playing in a really good position currently. So yeah, he comes in at number 11. Number 12, we have Nico Williams from Nottingham Forest. And like I said, I do think there's a better chance of Nottingham Forest going through than Brighton going through in the cup, just because of the 7-0 game. I just have to take that into account. I know it is Brighton who have been really up and down this season. It could change as well for them in the future. So I see the light is coming through now. I'm filming this in the morning, which is not usual for me. But yeah, I think there's a good chance of Nottingham Forest going through. And even if they don't go through, they are just a solid team with really solid fixtures. So I quite like their assets regardless, even if they are not doubling. They have really good fixtures between Game Week 29 and Game Week 37-ish. They have pretty good fixtures. So yeah, I quite like Nico Williams for the price. He's only 4.4. He's a really cheap way into that Nottingham Forest defense. He's also been one of the better like attacking defenders from Nottingham Forest as well lately. So I think he's like a really good value player in general, but the doubles is not really certain at all. Like the bookmakers are still favoring Brighton because they are playing at home to Nottingham Forest at least in the cup. So yeah, should take that into account for sure when it comes to Nico Williams, but I quite like his value in general. So yeah, he comes in at number 12. Number 13, Alphonse Areola from West Ham. He is the starting goalkeeper of West Ham, who are resurgent, looking a lot better defensively lately. Kept 2 clean sheets in a row now, Areola, as the starting goalkeeper of West Ham. They have a fixture in Game Week 29, which is the most important part, and they have the potential to double in either Game Week 33 or in Game Week 37, or in both potentially. like I mentioned previously. So yeah, Areola, quite just like him as like the cheapest possible goalkeeper. This spot has been basically the West Ham backup goalkeeper, or the West Ham starting goalkeeper has been the backup goalkeeper in the FPL wildcard draft for most of the season. So that's still the same for now with Areola. I think it's good value. He has the Game Week 29 fixture and has decent-ish fixtures as well to end the season, and playing for a team that are looking a lot better now under Graham Potter, especially defensively. So yeah, Areola comes in at number 13. Number 14, we have Anthony Elanga from Nottingham Forest. Again, don't really have much money left in the squad with Salah, Isak, Haaland, Gvardiol, like a couple of pretty expensive players. So Elanga, really cheap and really nice pick. He's been really good this season in general. Been playing a lot for Nottingham Forest. The one concerning thing with him, though, is that he got subbed off after like 63 minutes, I think, this past game week. So the minutes is not the best, but he is just like the best cheap alternative currently. Who knows, maybe it is Oscar Bob at some point. If he comes back and looks good for a really cheap price, he could be the better choice. There are some other decent options, but I think Nottingham Forest, like I said, have good fixtures, have potential to double in both 33 and 37. And Elanga has been playing mostly this whole season and getting a lot of points. So while I do prefer the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, he is a bit more expensive. And with the fixtures not yet confirmed as well, we don't really want to take too much risk when it comes to Nottingham Forest and just pick the cheaper players from them to have as backup and someone you can just bench if you don't need them, and you can play them if they get the doubles and stuff. So I think they're a pretty safe. They're a pretty safe type of picks to end this draft, considering we have so many expensive players already in the squad. So yeah, Elanga comes in number 14. At number 15, we have Scarles from West Ham, who's been playing lately, looking really good, looking like the future for West Ham at left back. He's been really good under Graham Potter. He's playing 60 plus minutes, got subbed off after 65 minutes last time around, which is really nice for a defender in FPL. You could potentially get the clean sheet points that no one else from the West Ham defense gets if he continues to do that. There is like a slight doubt when it comes to his minutes in the future, because Emerson Palmieri is still a really good left back. But with the current setup for West Ham, where they play like a left center back and a left wing back, they have more opportunities for left backs to play. So both Scarles and Emerson Palmieri could play at the same time as well. So yeah, quite like them. West Ham, like I mentioned, they have potential to double in the double game weeks because of the players or the teams that they are facing. And that's why Scarles is like a pretty safe-ish, like cheap choice at that price. We don't really have much money to spare. I wish this was enough money for Wan-Bissaka, but I just didn't have enough for it. So if you prefer, or like if you have enough money, you could go for Wan-Bissaka, who's a safer option for only 0.4 more. So he could be a better option, I think, especially considering he's like more offensively minded as well than Scarles. But I didn't have enough money for Wan-Bissaka in the squad, so that's why Scarles is the pick at number 15 instead. So with that out of the way, all the 15 players in the squad, we have a couple players that are new since last time: Gvardiol, Nico Williams, Scarles, and Elanga and Haaland. 5 new players basically, which means that 5 players have dropped out. So let's take a look at who those 5 players are before we go into the 3 players that were close to making the squad but didn't for some reason or another. So first and foremost, Palmer, already mentioned him in the video. He's just too expensive to be still in the game right now. I had him number 2 last game week, which is probably too high, but at the same time, he was the captain for most people in this past game week because he looked pretty good and he had the big chances to get a massive score in that game. And if he had done like a massive score there, maybe I would be more inclined to have him for this game week as well. But now we have Salah playing at home to Southampton, which is the best fixture. Like Palmer's not even like the best captaincy option potentially this game week either. He has one less super good game to go. We also know the cup, they have less of a chance to get a double and stuff. So yeah, he just has to drop out with the form that he has. The fixture's dwindling a bit more for Chelsea, and Palmer just not being in form currently. So yeah, he's dropping out for that reason. Cunha number 4, pretty self-explanatory. He once again was dumb and got a stupid red card, so he's going to be suspended for at least 4 games, I think it is, or at least 3 games. Probably 4 because he already has a suspension earlier from red card, and also potentially more because he's a repeat offender this season with stupid things that he's doing. So yeah, Cunha, easy choice to remove because yeah, he just doesn't have the fixtures anymore. We especially wanted him for game 29, but he's not going to play that game week for sure now. So yeah, he's out. Dean Howson as well. I did mention Bournemouth. I don't really like their defense that much, and we also, especially with the draw against Man City, there's less of a chance of them going through and getting double game weeks and stuff, especially considering they're facing Man United in game week 34. Man United are also out of the cup, so there's even less chances of them getting a double game week now than before. So yeah, Haaland just drops out for that reason, but he was also pretty close to making the squad because I do think Bournemouth have like a decent value team. Haaland has been really good value for his price this season as well. So if you want to go back to the Kluivert section and see what I think about the Bournemouth prospects in general, Haaland sort of fits into that. Dorgu from Man United, again another player that got suspended who's not going to play in Game 29 as we wanted him to. So again, easy choice to drop him out of the team. Again, really sad for you if you wildcarded last time around and you have all these suspensions now. Really bad luck. So yeah, Dorgu is also out of the team. And then we have Trent Alexander-Arnold for Liverpool. And Liverpool as well, not the best chances of doubling it either. Or if at all even. So yeah, he's just too expensive to go for currently, especially with the fixtures dying down a bit now for Liverpool as well. So Trent also drops out since last time. And now it's like a really weird effect because the sun is going straight through the window where I have like the blinds that are like slightly open places, but whatever. Technicality, but you're just gonna have to live with me looking a bit strange for the rest of the video basically. So yeah, we're through the team, we're through the players that have dropped out since last time. Let's take a look at the 3 players that were on the cusp before we end the video. With me looking like a weird guy. But yeah, let's move on to cusp players. We have Chris Wood from Nottingham Forest. Again, Nottingham Forest have like decent chances of doubling since they are still in the cup. And I think they will go through against Brighton most likely, or potentially. Wood has just been a really safe option in general. If you don't want to go with Haaland, if you want to go against Haaland and go against the grain on that one, because I think Haaland's going to be really popular, especially among like the FPL community. If you want to go against Haaland, I think Wood is currently the best striker. All the strikers are just out injured. Wood has been so consistent anyway. He has a case to be made to be in the squad, whether that is for Haaland or for Marmoush, depending on who you like as the third City asset. Like even without even if we had everyone available, would still be a really good player to have. But considering we don't have really any strikers left, Mateta's out, Cunha's out, Isak, I think he's going to play, but yeah, let's not talk about that at this video. But at this point in the video, but yeah, there's so many strikers that are out. Howard's out injured, Gabriel Jesus out injured, Evan Nilsson, we're unsure about him as well. Like there's just not that many good striker options, and Wood has just been so consistent, and there's a good reason to have him in your FPL teams still if you do have him already. So yeah, Wood has just been so consistent this season that he has to be mentioned. Then we have Yankuba Minte from Brighton. Like I mentioned, I don't think that there's like the best chance of them going through. I think Nottingham Forest are more likely to go through, so that's what I'm banking on with this wildcard draft. But they still have a decent chance. They're playing at home to Nottingham Forest. They played 2-2 against them earlier in the season. They could easily go through, and if that's the case, Minte could be a really nice cheap option. He's the one that I did consider rather than Elanga. Potentially, but just because I think Nottingham Forest are going to go through and not Brighton, I chose Elanga over Minte. Minte as well, not the best success with him currently in FPL as well. I brought him in like game week 3 this season, and he just basically failed and didn't play at some points this season. But he's looked really good lately. He's been in really good form. And Mitoma is also a doubt with his knee injury. We don't really know the extent of the injury yet, so Minte is more sort of the close player to go into the squad now because of the price and also the fact that he's available at least to play. So yeah, he's the on the cusp player from midfield. And in defense, I think Gabriel is just like a safe option. Arsenal are out of the cup. They could still potentially double in game week 33 if Crystal Palace go through to the semi-final. There's a really good chance of Arsenal doubling in game week 33. So Gabriel is still a really good option to have, and Arsenal's fixtures are going to get better as well, potentially going forward. So he's one of the players. As like the last reminder that you want to save it for game week 30, the wildcard most likely, because you could, for example, get Arsenal doubling in game week 33 and having Saka back fit and healthy, Gabriel in defense. Like you could really want Arsenal players at that point, and it will be more difficult to get Arsenal players in this team as it currently stands. If you wildcard now and you need Arsenal players in the future, basically. So yeah, Gabriel is also there as always, an option in defense. And with that out of the way, and me navigating my lighting here, I wish you a good game week going forward in game week 28. Gonna have more videos about that as well, especially going to have, or like for certain, I'm going to have the team section video. Might do the FPL podcast as well, but the time is running away from me a bit this week. So we'll see what I can do when it comes to me and Kevin doing the podcast this week. We'll see. But I hope you enjoy the content at least. Hope you enjoyed this video, even though the lighting is a bit strange. Kept it a bit shorter this time, around half an hour this time rather than the 40 minutes that I've had the last few game weeks. So please tell me down below in the comments if you prefer that as well. So yeah, all that out of the way. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.